There are only 4 modern sorcerers with the classification of special grade. Those 4 are Satoru Gojo, Yuki Tsukumo, Suguru Geto, and Yuta Okkotsu. But there are many other sorcerers throughout the series who have proven that they are also on this special grade level, and I'll be listing them all out for you today in this video, and I will also be giving explanation behind why each of these sorcerers have proven and shown abilities that are on a special grade level. Also, before we get into the listing, I do want to say that this is not a list in order of strength. I am simply just listing out all of these sorcerers who have proven and shown to be special grade level. So just because one name comes after the other does not mean that I am saying that this sorcerer is stronger than the previous one. It's simply just a list of all of these people who have shown this level of strength. First, I want to say if you enjoyed Jujutsu Kaisen content, then I would appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be posting videos every couple days on different topics that you guys recommend me and a few of my own. With that being said, let's get into the video. First, I want to give some honorable mentions, because these are some people who either we don't know for sure or just can't be classified as a special grade. And the first honorable mention I will be giving is Toji. Now we know that Toji is not a sorcerer, he is a sorcerer killer, but he has proven that he's on this special grade level because he was able to take out both Gojo and Geto at the time that they were both known as the strongest. And it even says in the fan book that Toji can't be classified as a special grade sorcerer because of his body. And with that being said, the other honorable mention will be Maki for the same reason. In the fan book it says that people who have their body restrained by this heavenly restriction are not classified. Now I know what you're thinking, Maki was previously graded as a sorcerer, but this is because she still had curse energy back then. Current day, she now has the same body as Toji, she now has this same restriction, so she doesn't really count as a sorcerer anymore. And the third honorable mention will be Hana, or the Angel. Now we know that there was something that happened 1,000 years ago between Hana and Sukuna, but we don't know exactly how strong Hana is. Now we do know that the angel refers to her laws as God's laws, and she's looking for Sukuna so that she can exorcise him. But it's just not enough evidence to say that she for sure is a special grade level sorcerer. But if you do put her on that level, I wouldn't blame you. But these are my 3 honorable mentions, and with that being said, let's get into the first sorcerer who I believe is on special grade level. Now there's no better way to start off than somebody who we know is there, and that is Suguru Geto. We know that Geto was classified as a grade 1 back in hidden inventory, because we see like this chart when he goes to fight Toji and his grade is literally right there at grade 1. But he does get classified as a special grade just a year later, right before he goes rogue. We know that Geto has curse spirit manipulation, so he can take in curses and use them at his own will. We see he does this during Volume 0 when he leads the war against the Jujutsu Society. He says that he has over 4,000 curses and he releases them at different areas. He also has special grade curses himself, so it's no surprise that of course he gets landed as a special grade level sorcerer. He even was able to have a close fight with Yuta while he had help with Rika. Awakened Rika is the Rika with her eye out and she's super in love, so the blast was super powerful. And it's even said by Kenjaku in later chapters that if Geto's forces weren't split, he actually would have beaten Yuta in this moment. So of course, starting off, Suguru Geto lands his spot as a special grade level sorcerer. Now next up we have Kashimo, and there's not really a surprise here either. We know that Kashimo may have been the strongest person around back in his day, around 400 years ago. This is because we get a flashback where he is talking to Kenjaku. He says that he should have fought Kenjaku, but Kenjaku is like, nah bro, I'm not in fighting shape. So he recommends Kashimo to go fight Ryu Ishigori. And Kashimo says no, the fight seems dubious, so he doesn't go fight him. Now to be fair to Kashimo and Ryu, Kashimo is an old man. Ryu looks around like in his 40s, you know, the hair loss and everything, so this doesn't mean too much, but the things that really prove Kashimo's strength is what he displays in present day, and that is in his fight against Hakari. If you can recall, when Yuta and the others are talking to Tengen, Yuta tells Yuji and Megami to go look for Hakari, and when they ask more questions about Hakari, Yuta says, when Hakari is on a roll, he's even stronger than I am. What he's talking about here is what we know of his jackpot state. Hakari has his jackpot state where he gets an infinite amount of curse energy and then he can fight you with it. And keep in mind, Yuta is classified as a special grade level sorcerer, so he is calling Hakari stronger than that. And Kashimo was able to go back and forth with Hakari, even hitting Hakari with 3 lethal blows. The blow that he hit to Hakari's side, the blow that knocked Hakari's arm off, and the blow to Hakari's head. All of these scenarios, even Hakari said himself he was close to death. Kashimo was also able to keep up with Hakari in terms of speed. We also know when Kashimo comes across Panda that his cursed energy has this sort of can't miss trait to it because the lightning energy travels directly to the opponent. You cannot escape Kashimo's cursed energy attacks. And we also know that the entire time Kashimo was fighting Hakari, he was not even using his curse technique. Hakari says at the end, "You didn't use your curse technique," and Kashimo says, "No, I am saving my curse technique for Sukuna. I can only use it once." So even a Kashimo without a curse technique was able to display this great amount of power. It should come as no surprise that Kashimo has cemented himself as a special grade level sorcerer. Now next up we have Uro and Ryu, and I can sort of group them in both at the same time here, and that is because they both are able to fight on par with Yuta Okkotsu. Now, even though Uro does get taken out about midway through the fight, before she goes down, she is able to send Yuta flying. She's also able to match him when Yuta tries to punch him. She uses her thin icebreaker to cancel his attacks out. We even know she was able to keep up with this 3-way domain deadlock with Ryu and Yuta, so she is definitely on that level. We know that even before Yuta pulled up, there was a 4-way deadlock going on with Ryu, the cockroach, Druve, and Uro herself. So Uro is definitely on this level with Ryu and Yuta, but I will say she probably is a little bit lower than them, but still around in that same level as she was able to match him multiple times and keep up with the both of them in combat. And as for Ryu, he displays amazing feats of strength. He is actually able to punch Rika so hard that he sends her flying over 20 meters away. Ryu is also able to launch Yuta off a rooftop in his first altercation with him. We also know that Ryu has the highest curse energy output in history. He was also able to char Yuta's hand with a granite blast. And then when Ryu and Yuta get into their own altercation, after Uro is out of the way and they both let off blasts at each other, Ryu actually wins the blast. Of course, this comes as no surprise as he has the highest curse energy output, but it is just more evidence to the fact that he is on this level of strength. We also know towards the end of the fight that he was able to punch Rika so hard that he put her out of commission. Yes, her time with Yuta ran out, but it does say that this punch was the result of her being completely out. Now, he does lose the fight in the end because he was caught off guard by Uro's curse technique, but even with this loss, he has still cemented himself as a special grade level sorcerer. Now that Ryu is out of the way, let's get into the next person who is also a special grade level, and that will be Yuki Tsukumo. Now here's the thing about Yuki. We know that she was a special grade back in the hidden inventory arc when Gojo and Geto were teenagers. She even referred to herself as the special grade who bums around overseas. So Yuki wasn't really that active in the story for the most part. She was mostly overseas on missions or looking for new things that she could learn. But we do see that she comes back in the recent chapters to fight Kenjaku. And yes, she does lose, but she does display some incredible feats before she loses. One of them being that we learn that her curse technique basically ignores concepts. It can add as much mass as she wants to any object, basically bypassing the durability of it. She can even create black holes, which we see her do to Kenjaku at the end of the fight. We saw Kenjaku say he basically can't use his curses on her because of her curse technique. She can just go hit the curses, apply a bunch of mass, and blow right through them. And that is also why she was able to take Kenjaku's arms off when she first hit him towards the start of the fight. We also have this statement from Kenjaku after Yuki self-destructs that she could have taken the whole world with her, but she held it back. So her having the ability to destroy the world, her literally being classified as special grade, her being able to fight Kenjaku to some extent, all of these reasons have rightfully put her as a special grade level sorcerer. Now next up, of course, we might as well put Kenjaku. Now here's the thing with Kenjaku. We knew that he had the disaster curses under his finger for a long time. He was always sort of standoffish and sat back while he had basically Aizen level plans and Aizen level manipulation. He never really let too much of his plan be exposed so he could manipulate everybody in his way. Now we also know he was inside the body of Suguru Geto, so he does gain the powers and abilities of Suguru Geto, And then we know that he has his own type of techniques, his own barrier techniques. And Tengen says that Kenjaku is one of the few people in the world who can match him in barrier techniques. So we know Kenjaku is supposed to be like this Superman guy in domains and barrier techniques. He also has the abilities of Suguru Geto. He also was able to block punches and kicks from Yuki in hand to hand. He was able to beat up Choso very easily. And we also know that there's sort of this narrative thing being pushed forward that Yuta will have to be the one to go fight Kenjaku. And as for whether Yuta will actually beat Kenjaku or not, who knows? If I had to bet on who would win the fight, probably Kenjaku. He just seems stronger, honestly, the barrier techniques and everything. But for the reasons I said and the fact that, you know, he is in Geto's body, who was a special grade, Kenjaku, of course, makes the listing for every special grade level sorcerer in Jujutsu Kaisen. Now let's move on to Yuta. Now the thing with Yuta is that he was listed as special grade back in volume 0 because he had Rika with him. But over the course, coming to present day in the series, he has learned to master Rika and has grown as a sorcerer himself. He has stated multiple times to have this boundless level of cursed energy, so it seems like he never runs out. And he's able to use this cursed energy alongside Rika to basically beat down opponents and overwhelm them. We even see when he comes across Yuji and Choso and Naoya for the first time, they all get scared when they sense his presence. And then of course we see that Yuta is able to fight both Ryu and Uro at the same time. He gets in this three-way domain clash with them. He's able to beat up Uro. Then we see that he's able to beat Ryu in the end because Ryu tries to let off a granite blast, which Yuta just curves up into the sky. So these abilities that Yuta has, like curse speech, Yuta can literally copy curse techniques. He can take a curse technique from an opponent and use it for himself. These abilities, alongside Rika at his side, who Rika on her own is a special grade level curse. So he has his abilities himself with Rika. Them two combined, of course, they make the listing for every special grade level sorcerer. Now let's move on to Hakari. Now the thing with Hakari is that he is sort of on and off, and you'll get what I mean by this. Yuta says that Yuji and Megumi need to go visit Hakari for help, and when they ask more questions about who Hakari is, Yuta says, oh, Hakari is moody, but when he's worked up, he's stronger than I am. Of course, we now know that what he is talking about is this jackpot form of Hakari. Hakari has a domain where he is allowed to play a game. It's basically a gamble, and if he succeeds in the gamble, he gains an infinite amount of curse energy and automatic reverse curse techniques for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. So say if you chop his arm off, his arm will just grow right back automatically. Same with the leg, same with any part of his body. The only way to fully take Hakari out while he's in this infinite curse energy state is to take his head off, because that's where reverse curse technique flows from. And we see that Hakari is able to match Kashimo in hand-to-hand battle. He's also able to keep up with Kashimo in terms of speed. And then we see that he even overwhelms Kashimo towards the end of the fight. And of course, Hakari does end up winning that fight. We also know that when he comes across Yuji on the rooftop, Yuji says that there's something to Hakari's curse energy. It has an edge. No matter how much power Hakari is putting behind his punches, it feels like he's being hit with a serrated bat. So for these reasons, Hakari makes the list. Now let's get on to Sukuna. Of course, Sukuna makes the list for a special grade sorcerer. Sukuna was a terror over 1,000 years ago. Sukuna was the height of Jujutsu sorcery. It is said that the people of the past all tried to raise their knives against Sukuna. They all tried to revolutionize and band up against him, and they all were defeated. Sukuna was this head of strength. Sukuna was the head of this hierarchy, which would explain why all of these past reincarnated players want to go fight and defeat Sukuna today. We even see that the angel, who it seems like she has something to do with in the past with Sukuna, she is looking for Sukuna so that she can go defeat him. And of course, you know, the angel, her name is obviously the angel, and the Sukuna's name is the fallen angel. So there definitely was some things going on 1,000 years ago between the two, and it looks like the angel lost and she's salty and needs to go beat him up. We also see, of course, that Sukuna, even in his weaker forms, like 3 fingers, he can open against a domain against the first finger bearer back in the chapters like 7 and 8. And then we see later in the series when he's in Shibuya, he's fighting Jogo with 15 fingers worth of curse energy, and he's beating up Jogo. He's ragdolling Jogo badly. So we can only imagine how strong a 20 finger form of Sukuna is. And of course we know that there is this thing going on where Sukuna thinks he'll be able to beat and kill Gojo, but then Gojo thinks he'll be able to beat and kill Sukuna. So it is said that Sukuna is, you know, the king of curses. He's supposed to be this peak. There's sort of like a duality going on between him and Gojo, where Gojo is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer and Sukuna is supposed to be the strongest cursed. So for these reasons, of course, Sukuna makes the ranking for a special grade level sorcerer. And with that being said, the last person that we'll be putting on the list is none other than Satoru Gojo. Where do I even start? From the moments that we know about him, he was always known as the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer. When he was born, he tilted the balance of the earth. We know he has the limitless abilities where he has infinity, so no matter if you try to hit him, it would just take you an infinite amount of time to reach him because there's an infinite space between you and him. We also know that he has the 6 sides, which basically let him let off blue and red, the power to repel and the power to attract. And when he combines these 2 abilities, he gets hollow purple that rips through enemies. This devastating attack combined with this impenetrable defense of the infinity led him to become known as the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in the world. I mean, it's stated multiple times that he's the strongest, so of course it's no surprise that he makes the list. We also know Gojo underwent some form of an awakening years ago, back when he was in high school and fought Toji. After he lost to Toji, he basically awakened the Limitless, and ever since then, he was just able to have infinity on around the clock. And this is when Geto said that Gojo became known as the strongest himself. There was no longer like this Geto and Gojo duo anymore. Gojo just was the strongest. And of course, now we know that he was tricked by Kenjaku, and present day he is sealed in a box, but we all are waiting to see what will happen when Gojo gets out of this box. It looks like it's going to end up being Sukuna versus Gojo at the end of the manga, and I want to know who you guys have your bets on. Me personally, I think that Sukuna might take the fight. Whether it come down to a domain clash or just hand to hand, I think that Sukuna might take the fight against Gojo. But of course, we won't know until we see it get written. And with that being said, that is all of the Jujutsu sorcerers who are around a special grade level in strength. If you have anybody else you would add to the list, or if you think that some people should be removed from the list, let me know in the comments below, as I read comments and I do reply. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, as I'll be posting videos every couple of days on different topics that you guys recommend me and a few of my own. Thank you for watching. See you next time.